I'll give you two. I'll give you one that's just a scene of itself, and I'll give you a personal story that I have that, Andrew, you're actually kind of involved in, so you can kind of piggyback off of it.
I didn't do it. I swear. Sorry. Please go on.
So the first is going to be a scene from Twin Peaks: The Return, in which Lynch himself actually acted across from David Duchovny, who was playing a trans FBI agent named Denise. And John was talking a lot about mask off moments, and I think that this scene is, I think, helped by the fact that Lynch himself is in it. But what I like to think of as Lynch as a guy, and I'm not going to give the whole monologue because I can't sustain my Lynch, but I think this sums up the man. I think it sums up his work perfectly. So Denise and Gordon, David Lynch's character, are going back and forth about the history. And at the end of this long speech, Lynch goes, "And when you became Denise, I told your colleagues, those clown comics, to fix their hearts or die." And I think that phrase, "fix their hearts or die," has become something of a rallying cry of a lot of people these days. And I think when I think of David Lynch, I think of that scene. I've watched that scene a bunch since he's passed. The other thing I think of with David Lynch was a making of documentary or an interview off the Mulholland Drive Blu-ray where it's David and Naomi Watts talking about the masturbation scene in Mulholland Drive. And Naomi Watts has the best David Lynch impression I've ever heard, like at all. And she's going through this story, and there's a moment that whenever I hear her voice or her saying this, kind of comforts me to an extent. So flash forward a bit, I'm about to go to a screening that John, you were at, that one of my movies are going to be showing at, and we were running late and I was very stressed. And I reach out my phone and I text Andrew. I say, "Andrew, don't ask me questions, but I need you to call me up in about 5 minutes time, and I need you to say this exact quote to me because it'll calm me down." And lo and behold, Andrew gives me a call 5 minutes later and he goes, "It's okay, Naomi, we're going to get through this together." And every time I hear that, just not even David Lynch saying, but Naomi Watts imitating David Lynch saying, "It's okay, Naomi, we're going to get through this together," it instantly just makes me calm. Because again, it's almost like, it's like your grandfather putting his hand on your shoulder and saying, "It's okay, kid, everything's going to be fine. We're just going to sweep up this mess, and Dad won't even know you broke the vase."
Yeah.
And those two things are what I think about when I think of David Lynch.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
John, so what say you? What is the most impactful, memorable Lynch watching or Lynchian experience for you?
Yeah, it's the ending to Blue Velvet the first time I saw it with you guys. Because I think you guys both remember, and I think, Andrew, you talked about it with Stonehouse on the Blue Velvet episode, where you get to the end of this film and this journey that these characters have been on, and I just remember getting very emotional for a variety of reasons. And I don't know if it was partly because it was the middle of the pandemic and we didn't have any idea like what the fuck was going to happen, because I think this was about June. It was like end of June or early July, and we still just like I said, we had just no idea what the fuck was going on. And we get through this really dark journey, and there was something about it where I certainly identified with Kyle MacLachlan's character, that you go through this really dark period. And I know at that point I was starting to get really depressed. Like and I didn't tell people, it was bad. And there was just something about that where you get through this darkness and you see that things are going to be okay. Things are going to be all right. And I couldn't articulate that at the time. I didn't know why. why I was so emotional at that period. But after I'd watched Blue Velvet again and had reflected on that, I knew that was why. You know, I think that there was just something that was so impactful about that. And the other thing about the ending to Blue Velvet, watching it the first time, and you know, under those circumstances or not, I just remember thinking, this is a really special person. There is something really, really special about the humanity behind the guy who made this film, because this is a dark movie. But there's something really beautiful about it too. And there's something really beautiful about the good of the good characters in this story. And that was what made me that's what made me a Lynch fan. You know, I'd seen What Did Jack Do, and I really enjoyed it, but it was that experience watching Blue Velvet that really there isn't a moment that I think is gonna top that for Lynch for me.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that with us, because it's almost like you obviously don't need to get into that much detail, but I think the fact that you do is just a testament to what this guy is to us, and just the value of a person that's able to make such an impact on someone.
Yeah.